My name is Dr. Angela Longboat. I spent a couple of decades plus in the military. I was in the Army, but I worked for civilian agencies. Towards the end of my career, I ended up getting legally blind, and then with a car accident and some seizures, I damaged to where I'm totally blind. I damaged 55% of my brain, so I had to learn kind of how to refunction. And I've been blessed because I can talk and walk and think, and I've had many of my fellow soldiers that have gotten 7, 9, 11% brain damage, traumatic brain injury, and they can't walk or talk or have tremors. I do have a big metal brace on my right leg that helps me walk. I am blind, but I feel that's my least disability. And the funny thing is, if you look under the American Disabilities Act, it always says the handicapped or disabled and blind. And what a lot of people don't realize is when they did it that way, the blind were an afterthought because they are the smallest disability group. So by legal definition, they're not disabled. Technically, they have one of the hardest things to get around and function, especially if they've been blind or went totally blind within the first 5 years, because all they remember is black and their imagination. Where I had sight, so I understand blue is blue and yellow is yellow. But somebody that's totally blind, their blue may be my pink. Imagination is one of the biggest things that blind people have. You'd think you would not be imagery oriented as a blind person, but you're extremely imagery oriented because that's how you function. You see in your mind what's around you, plus your emotions. So that's the biggest part of being a blind person. I have seizures. Seizures really govern my life more than anything, because if I have a seizure, I can be out. The seizure itself is less than a minute. If it's a general seizure or petit mal. If it's an absent seizure or petit mal. If it's a general or grand mal, that's where you flip and flop and can even break bones. The absent, like I said, it's less than a minute, but my kind, I'm exhausted for 15 minutes or an entire day or day and a half, and it leaves me dysfunctional. I just barely have the energy sometimes to go to the bathroom, and the rest of it is just laying around not doing anything. So that's far more of a handicap than my blindness, because if I have doctor's appointments, I have anything, they're immediately canceled. And it's literally on the spur of the moment. If you can't walk, you can get an electric wheelchair or a push wheelchair. There are many other things that are set up for multiple disabled people, but most of the devices are set up for the different kinds of disabled, and the blind are an afterthought that they add little things on to help them out. But over the last decade plus, they're actually starting to make things that are for blind. I mean, of course, everybody has seen the white cane that's a long cane or a walking cane, which identifies them as being visually or sight impaired. But they finally, like it says, came up with things. This is a talking clock. And it has a device here I can put outside, so it can give me the outside temperature as well as the inside temperature, plus it talks and tells me on the hour. You can have that turned off or on. For me, I don't have a time concept, so I always have it on. So on the hour from 8 o'clock to 10, it'll tell me the time. I first learned how to function as a blind person by going to a VA blind school, which the VAs have totally changed how they work with the blind. But when a person was a multiple disabled person, that they really didn't expect them to live more than a month or 2 or 3, they sent you up to the VA blind school in Fort Lewis. And they would tell you to put a big giant cloth napkin here and stretch it under your table. And they said it's okay to use your fingers and eat food, or pick up a steak or a pork chop and eat it with your hands, or mashed potatoes and corn, just kind of scoop it and use your fingers. That's not me. I want to eat. I want people to see me as a human being, not as a disabled person. I left that place. And a matter of fact, I put a formal complaint into the cabinet member that was over the VA. So that has changed. And some of the schools for the VA working for the blind are outstanding. They have one in San Luis Obispo, one in Arizona, and one in Idaho are, to me, the 3 outstanding ones. And I am considering going to the one in Arizona after the first of the year sometime. There are new things. They have, of course, Braille, but the sad part is a little more than, about 8% can actually use Braille because their fingers aren't sensitive enough, or they have other medical things that stop them from learning Braille. For me, like I said, I had 55% of my brain that was damaged. Boom. I'm the blind. I feel that I've probably adapted to the best. And they have some really new technology. I have an iPhone. Now, a lot of people have their smartphones and everything else, but Apple has what's called an accessibility that I can turn on, and they also have people I can call if I get confused on it, that I can give them permission to look at my screen or not, and they can walk me through any problems I have. But with the accessibility, like your icons, you touch an icon and it jumps right to that icon or whatever, like notes or music or your messages or your emails. Well, because I have to kind of touch and it'll tell me. So after I touch it and it tells me what it is, I can slide my finger to the right and it'll go from one icon to the next until the one I find. Now, after you use certain ones all the time, so I know an upper left-hand corner, that's my message. And then on the bottom ones, I have the ones I use all the time. So, but I can touch it, it tells me what it is. Then I have to double tap for it to open up. And it's the first thing that was totally designed for a blind person, and then it adapted to other disabled people to do things. But it is so awesome, and it gives us the freedom to communicate with others without doing it like a flip phone. I can actually do a text because I go to the thing that says text, and then I double tap it, and I can talk instead of typing things in because it can take a long time. But I can verbally say a sentence and it'll give it to you. Or on an email, somebody can send me an email. I can read it by using the same thing. I put my finger on the thing and it'll actually read a sentence or a paragraph. And then I slide my finger to the right and it'll go to the next sentence or paragraph. And it'll read the entire thing. And if I need to reply, it has a thing down at the bottom I can reply. So it makes that communication easy. Like I'm moving to another apartment here. It's a handicap one. Well, to keep things legal and technical, I sent them an email requesting the handicap room when it came up. So I have legal documents on my phone through my emails so that it's correct, proper, and absolutely legal. Right now, there's a new device that's out that's totally for the blind. And I can walk around anywhere, and this is a Wi-Fi, because when you go into buildings and that, and you know their code, you can type in their Wi-Fi, and then you don't have to use your data. Well, I can carry this on my side, and it allows it. Now, these are what they call chakras, and I can put them here, and if you notice, my ears are open, and they're on my temples. Well, I can link that to my computer so that I can hear it through these, but my ears are open, so if I'm out in the public, I can still hear the traffic or somebody coming up. Now on these, if you look over here, there's a camera. And so I can put these on. I use my phone, and they're called IRA glasses. And I can go to the IRA and I can turn it on, and then a person comes on that's on a TV screen. They can see what these glasses are looking at and totally describe it. They could tell me the color of her hair, the color of eyes, the outfit a person has, whether it's got flowers, stripes, solid colors. And I can walk around. And like over here, we have some construction going around our apartment on one side. And so if I want to go to the mall, I can turn these on because that construction detour changes every day or every few days. Well, with these, it'll describe it. Or I can go in a mall and I can go into a store, and instead of asking a person to help me, I can actually have the camera describe the slacks or the blouse or whatever I want to do, and it'll describe it to me. So it gives me a higher level of mobility and safety. I was out waiting for a taxi, and a person saw me from across the street and started coming over, and the glasses let me know that he was coming, so it wasn't a surprise. And so I told him hello before he came in. He was actually walking quieter than he should have. But blind people are the number one percentage-wise assaulted or robbed or mugged. So them telling me that, and I said hi, he said hi back, but then he changed and went another entire direction. So whether he was going to attack me, I don't know. But percentage, it was a good odd that he was, since he was coming quietly. And so the classes were an extreme safety. When the taxi came up, it told me, and I was using Uber, and so it tells me the name of the person that's coming, and when they're coming and when they arrive. So the camera sees it, and the person behind it has contact with the Uber. So it's all safe. So these are less than a year, the technology. They came in, I believe, in the late February, March, so they're not even a year old yet. That's my life as Dr. Angela Longboat.